On this computer. B26 when it goes live. Brilliant. Paul, good afternoon. Oh, good morning to you. You're in the UK. I'm in South Africa.
Yes,
how are you doing, man?
Good afternoon.
Thanks so much for joining me, man. It's actually nice to be back live in the community again, sharing a bit of value for the agencies in there. How are you doing? How's lockdown? UK, you guys are winning. I suppose you're getting there.
Yeah, it's sort of been okay. I mean, we were saying before, all my training courses that I run were face-to-face in people's offices, and that's what I love doing. But for the last year, we've been running lots of sessions on Zoom, which is different, good, but different.
Cool. Yeah, listen, taking advantage of the tools we have. Yeah. So, yeah, man, just a quick background into what Paul does. Obviously, do you want to give us a quick rundown of who you are, what you do, and you know, what value you're bringing?
Yeah, look, my background is pretty straightforward. I spent 25 years looking after clients at a big agency called Saatchi & Saatchi, which I'm sure many of you have heard of. I sort of drifted into learning and development. I became their training director as well as look after clients. And then when I left about 10, 11 years ago, the last big financial crisis, I decided to set up this business called the Burns Unit, which is a training business primarily designed to help all sorts of comms agencies, you know, traditional above the line agencies, huge growth in specialist digital agencies, design companies, PR companies, and some clients as well. That's what I do now.
Awesome. Cool. So it's quite a wide range. I mean, obviously our community is more about, and our space, Globaltel space, is more about digital agencies, but the comms industry is I mean, would you agree with that you found a lot of the PR agencies, a lot of the traditional advertising agencies starting to look over the fence at the digital space and start going, hey, we can't ignore you anymore. We kind of need to be involved.
Look, my perspective is that everything has converged enormously. You know, you have PR agencies doing, you know, adverts and online streaming, and digital agencies. What's interesting about digital agencies, which I suppose is most of your group, is what I've observed is they started off very small. They worked on a project by project basis rather than a retained basis. So the people that ran that client agency relationship were project managers, very specialist, very niche, very good at what they did. And as that relationship grew, I found they were struggling with what I would call more traditional account handling skills to grow that business to become like a trusted long-term partner for their clients. So I see a lot of digital agencies I've worked with going through that transition from helping their project managers become what I would call proper account handlers and adding value to the business rather than a project. And conversely, in the more bigger traditional agencies, they're desperately, you know, wanting that sort of quicker, speedier, and learning more and more about digital. So you end up where we are now, where there's this huge convergence, and actually, you know, media agencies, creative agencies, digital agencies, PR companies, they all overlap hugely. Is sort of where I find ourselves. But for me, I go back to the core basics of why we do what we do. And we're there to help our clients' businesses, their brands and their reputations. Whatever type of agency you are, when you lose sight of that, then I think you lose sight of what your business is about. Yeah.
And it's funny you say that, and what the description you gave about how a lot of these agencies, how a lot of us, all the people in the community got started with their agencies was, as you say, a project by project basis. What we find as well in what we do is, and I think a lot of people will relate to this as well, is people have an inner genius around graphic design, or they're technical around SEO, or they're great copywriters. And that's what they love doing. It's what they're great at. And slowly the next thing they know, they've got a small little agency going, and that agency. So it actually starts around something we're passionate about, but we're not great at everything. So we tend to find that, as you say, is that growth kind of sometimes takes us a bit by storm. We're not really ready for it. But I suppose it's those people who have that business mind, that entrepreneurial mind, are the ones who are able to recognize what's going on and say, hey, I need help. And let me take advantage of this, because I can take this beyond just me and my one or two freelancers. I can actually turn this into something pretty big, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously I said, we obviously try to keep these chats a little as short as possible. People are busy, I know, and that we try to get people to just jump in, and we leave it in the community so people can have a look. But is there maybe one or two tips that you can maybe give the members of the community around their digital agencies that you would, straight off the top of your head, give them for 2021? Obviously, different time, different space that we're in at the moment. Anything that you would really desperately want agencies to know about?
Yeah, look, I think the one thing I suppose I've learned over the years working in an agency, training director for an agency and working with all different types of businesses, size is no barrier to looking after your people. At the end of the day, although what a lot of your guys do is very technical and very specific and often quite niche, I think we should never lose sight of the fact that we work with people and we're a people's business. And I think, I always have this expression, you don't need a training budget to have a training plan. So I think however big or small you are, you constantly need to develop your people's skills. Sometimes that might be a very specialist skill about understanding, SEO more, or a new package or a new software or a new Google product. That's fine, but there's also other things that are important too, about how to present, what leadership skills are all about. In my view, leadership isn't about seniority, but everyone demonstrates that. What it is to work in a team, how people are motivated and not motivated. So I think whatever type of agency you are, digital, it doesn't matter. I think we should never lose sight of we need to develop those people. We know, people working in your agencies will crave development. It's very hard to pay them loads more money at the moment because business is not great for a lot of businesses, but you can never stop developing and helping them. And you want to build a loyal workforce who work with clients really, really well. So my one bit of advice would be, strive to be a trusted partner to your clients. And the only way you're going to do that is have people in your team that have the skills to be able to do that. And it's that combination of skills and general good practice that's so important.
Brilliant. You've actually hit on something that's so great, and your timing is immaculate. I don't know if you've actually been in the community for any amount of time, but actually this month I was talking about how there's a bit of a theme going on in my life at the moment around resourcing and staffing within our own business, and I've been sharing a few tips in the community that I find helpful when it comes to us resourcing and staffing in what we do. So, are there maybe just one tip that you could give specifically around staffing? I'll give you an example. What I was talking about was values. Values are really important when you're selecting people for your team. Don't just get somebody with a great CV. Get somebody whose values are aligned with yours as a business. Another one around asking for feedback is a really big one. That's a key value that we would look for. Is there one tip that you can give us around staffing that you think agencies should know about?
Well, God, there are so many. Look, I think it's very simple. I think if you could take your whole leadership courses and programs down to one word, it sounds ridiculous, but say thank you occasionally would be good. Just appreciate the clients that you have and recognize that clients have issues and problems too. And the people you work with, people in your teams, make them feel valued and appreciated for what they do, however junior or senior they are. We all like to say sorry. Say sorry and say thank you. That would be
beautiful. Beautiful tip. That's amazing, man. Very, very cool. That's really, really great. It's always good to hear someone else's perspective. And it's funny you talk about say thank you, and it kind of reminds me of something my business coach says to me all the time: is catch people doing things right. This is a tip of coming up in the community, but it just as you say, people need to feel appreciated, especially in today's world. Things are hectic. People are feeling a little bit down. So it's always good to, as you say thank you and appreciate what they're doing. One more question I want to ask you about, and this is quite I think it's one that a lot of digital agencies are struggling with at the moment, and that's the question around competition. The digital space, the digital agency space in particular, has always been a really competitive place. But I don't know the numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out that it's gotten 100 to 200% more competitive over the last year and a half, because a lot of people have been put out of work, and there is no barrier to entry to start a digital agency, especially thanks to people or businesses like Lobital, where you can just set up an agency and have absolutely no inner genius and completely get a resource partner like us to just execute the work for you, and you just go out there and sell. So we recognize that we have made it possible, and businesses like ours have made it possible for anybody to set up a digital business, and compete with already established digital businesses. What would you say to a digital agency owner who's established a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, who's finding that competition piece really challenging at the moment?
Well, look, I think obviously everyone talks about price, and the world of procurement has got bigger and bigger. But at the end, I've always said this, if price was the only determinant, which is, I guess, underlying a lot of what your question is, there's always someone that will do it cheaper.
Yeah,
there always will be. And if price was the only discriminator, then there would be one agency in the world doing everything at the lowest price. And clearly that's not the case. In every market you look at, there are always going to be the cheapest provider, and they'll be the most expensive provider. So there has to be something more than price that clients choose to work with you for. Now, that might be personal relationships, trust. It could be the specialist skills you bring to the party. But ultimately, I would go back to what I said before. What we do, any type of agency, we're there to grow our clients' businesses, brands, and reputations, not ours, not the agencies. And the more you focus on that, then the more, ironically, your business brand and reputation will grow. Because really what clients are buying is this great expression. You don't buy a drill, you're buying a hole.
Yeah.
And it's a really important point. When clients are buying you, they're buying you to solve a business problem or to help grow their business. And if you can demonstrate you can do that better than anyone else through your business understanding, by your technology understanding, by what innovative new products you've got, by the people you have working with them and they're trusted, then that premium price doesn't matter. Why does Apple exist? I always check everything I've got: Apple phone, iPad, MacBook. I bought into that Apple ecosystem. Yeah. If I knew anything about IT, I would look at it and go, why on earth am I paying 3 times more than everybody else?
Yeah.
Because there's something about that relationship with that brand. And it's the same with digital agencies.
Yeah.
Otherwise it would be one agency in the world doing it at the cheapest price.
Yeah, got you. Good tip. Look, I think easier said than done, and I know that a lot of agencies are still freaked out immensely by the competition space. But it is. I agree with you, and I think it's. I think what you hit on there, which is really key as well, is the relationship piece. In these times, if you've got those relationships, nurture those relationships. It's the 20-80 principle. You got 20% of your business, 80% of your business come from 20% of your clients. Nurture the hell out of them, keep them safe, keep them happy. And it is, we recognize, I think we both recognize that the digital agency space is a really tough one when it comes to that competition, because there are so many people coming. We're a wholesaler, and we've got people coming in cheaper than us in proper agencies, retail agencies. And we're just scratching our heads going, how are you? And we recognize they're not doing what they should be doing, but that's what's, that's the reality of the business.
The only thing I would just add to that, Steve, that I completely recognize that. I know it's easy for me from the outside to say what I've just said, but if you just take that to its logical conclusion, everyone will do everything for free. That's because they'll all, at what point do you stop and say you just can't do that anymore?
Yeah.
And then, what other value can you then add to it? So it's about adding value to that relationship. And if you can do that successfully, and you can grow your client's business bigger than your competition, then why would a client go somewhere else?
Yeah. Look, thank you so much for joining us. I want to just obviously, guys, touch on one thing. Obviously, Paul's got quite an array of courses and whatnot. Now, as I said to Paul, we don't want to, this isn't a sales pitch, we don't want to go into selling the courses, but Paul and I are planning what we call a mentorship meeting coming up towards the end of March, potentially maybe a little bit later. But if anyone is out there is interested in getting involved, please do get in touch with me, get in touch with Haley on the DMCC, just DM us. The point of this is a much more personalized one-on-one with Paul and myself around agency coaching, some tips. Paul, you mentioned you've got a really good planning piece around that.
Yeah, I mean, if people want a training, one of the things I do apart from courses is help people put together a training plan. So that's something we can maybe talk about at some point.
Brilliant.
Back to, you don't need a budget to have a training plan. It's just a way of thinking and structuring the development of your people, which is a really simple model to use. Which we
Great. Well, listen, we as I said, we're looking to bring a bunch of agencies to that who are looking for that sort of input into their business, because there are, as much as tough as life is at the moment, as hard as it is to run a business at the moment, there are still a lot of digital agencies out there who've taken this opportunity to grow and to actually get better, which is fantastic. And we wanted to make the most of it for them. So we will obviously, guys, we'll just keep an eye on the community, and we'll be in touch when that's going on. So if those who are interested can jump in. There will be limited space in that, literally, I think 6 agencies max. But we'll make an announcement when the time's right.
Brilliant. Good.
Well, thank you so much, man. Always nice chatting. Be well.
Thanks ever so much. Good luck, everyone.